What's up, you guys? It's Cole here, and as you may know, one thing that I find really interesting is language. We can convey ideas that have never been conceived before, express ourselves, and when the time is right, cuss a little bit. But what you may not know is that these words change a lot with time as culture and society progress. So today we're going to look at 15 hilarious old swear words that you've never heard before.
Also, according to YouTube, only a small amount of my viewers are actually subscribed, so if you haven't yet, please subscribe. It's completely free and you can always change your mind. Enjoy the video.
Death's head upon a mop-stick. While also being quite a mouthful, this phrase describes someone who is incredibly tall, skinny, and lanky. Have you ever seen anybody that looks like the cinnamon stick on the Applejack cereal box? Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's really pretty self-explanatory. Take a broomstick, turn it around, slap a head on it, and you got a death's head on a mop-stick. The Duke of Limbs. This is absolutely not the kind of Duke that you're thinking of. This is just a slightly nicer, more polite way of calling someone a death's mob upon a mop. If you're a tall, awkward, and in the words of 18th century Englishman, an ill-made fellow with extremely long extremities, then you may be a Duke of Limbs. ADDLE! The origin on this one is a little shaky, but it dates back to something called the 1811 Dictionary of the Vulgar Tongue. Pretty much the Urban Dictionary of the late 19th century. And it's used to describe a foolish or dull-witted person. ADDLE! Saddle goose. Now this is one I really can't imagine contributing to a conversation at all. Now while the other ones were pretty funny, this one is just plain weird. Like, whoever thought about putting a saddle on a goose? But that's exactly what this word wants you to think, because the definition of a saddle goose is literally someone stupid enough to put a saddle on a goose. So if you ever see someone putting a saddle on a goose from now on, at least you'll have the proper nomenclature to tell them what for. BEDSWERVER! For this magnificent grouping of sounds and phonemes, we can thank the bard himself, because he actually completely made it up in one of his plays, and it's stuck around ever since. It just refers to an adulterer or anybody in a relationship that is unfaithful, but it's more targeted towards women. And again, pretty self-explanatory. If you possess the amount of nerve and indignity that it takes to literally swerve out of one bed and into another, there's something wrong with you. CUMBERWORLD. You know how they say all human life has value? Well, it's absolutely true, except when it comes to the CUMBERWORLD. This is such a strong word, and it can only be used to describe someone who is so useless that the only thing they do is take up space. And it's certainly a contender for the harshest word on this list. If someone called me that, assuming I knew what it meant, I would probably be really upset. Doobita? It's just a clumsy or awkward person. That's it. But it's not always their fault. But I'm sure that this was only exclusively used by old people shouting at anything that ever moved while they sit on the comfort of their own porch at 6 a.m. Doobita! FOPDOODLE. This one's so old that even the definition is archaic. It's just used to describe an insignificant or foolish man. When's the last time that you heard someone describe someone else as insignificant? For real, it sounds more like a brand for pool noodles or macaroni and cheese. Oi mate, let's go swimming with them FOPDOODLEs! GILLIE-WET-FOOT. This is actually an old Scottish insult, and it refers to any swindling businessman who finds themselves getting in debt and then fleeing from it. That's really awfully specific, way more specific than any of the other ones. You really gotta wonder what kind of financial issues Scotsmen were dealing with back in the 1800s. I guess bagpipes are more expensive than we thought. LOITER-SACK. This sounds like a much better version of CUMBERWORLD. It's just used to describe a lazy, good-for-nothing person and is related to the crime loitering. They're the same idea, but since loiter is pretty hard to say, just call them a loiter-sack. MUCK-SPOUT. Just think about some sort of water source or spout that you can just never turn off, because this is used to describe someone who can never, ever, for the life of them, stop talking. I feel like we're starting to get really modern with these definitions. SNOUTBAND. This is someone who constantly interrupts people in order to correct them. In 2020, we would probably call the same person a know-it-all or something way worse. LUBBERWORT. No, get this. Okay, wait. So apparently, somewhere back between 18th and 19th century England, there was this plant that supposedly caused stupidity to anyone who consumed it. So if you were to stumble across this unknown plant and then eat it, for no apparent reason, you would be a lubberwort. Or if you were just a constantly lethargic and fuzzy-minded person, that would probably work too. GOUBERMOUCH. GOUBERMOUCH. A lot of these really only work in an English accent, even though mine is pitiful, to say the least. This is just a noisy, prying person that loves to get all up in the business of other people. I'm sure we all know people like this, as they're absolutely everywhere. But we all love our personal space and our privacy, and sometimes we just want to be alone. So don't be a GOUBERMOUCH. This last one I have saved best for last, because even though you've probably never heard of any of these, this last one will seem really familiar. Villain, I have done thy mother. If you've ever played Call of Duty, or if you've ever been in an Xbox Live party, then this might hit a little too close to home. People love to talk about their mother. I'm sure you love your mother, but I hate to break it to you, but everyone on the internet does too. Yeah, some things just never change. That's pretty much it, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. I don't recommend that you ever go and use any of these words, but at the same time, no one will ever understand you anyway. And as always, thanks for watching.